Mike and Night.
Our news, our business.
Hey, we back in the house.
You know it.
You said you couldn't hear us. Then I gotta make it. Hey, you know how they say holler if you hear me? I'm glad you guys hollered when y'all didn't hear me. So check this out. We're gonna get back into this election news, okay? Now last night we talked about it a little bit, but I know y'all in here, y'all checking it out. Y'all feeling where we come from, right on Simone, for just letting us know right out the gate that you couldn't hear it. But we, and you know where that comes from, right?
That love,
support, and protect. Hey, I appreciate that. Hey, Dwayne, we doing our thing tonight the way that we always do. But let me get into this real quick. So, as I told you guys last night, this is the first time. This would be the first time that I had ever voted in my life. Okay, so we're not going to get into all the reasons why I didn't vote for the time that I've been on this earth, but you know what? I felt like this was a very important election and that we needed to, get in here and we had to be represented, no matter however you felt, because I feel that there are some really strong opinions on either side of the aisle. So I felt it was now my public duty, especially doing the love, support, and protect, that I get in there and that I cast my vote. Now, let me tell you this. I was told that if I voted for one Joseph Biden, that I would receive this cake. And I don't mean cake as in the way that black folks talk about cake, not no money, but a real cake. My mama gone, but my mama had this cake she used to make, and there's only a few people alive that can make it like my mama made it. But the person that I needed to make that cake for me said, the only way that I will make that cake for you is if you vote for Joseph Biden.
Now, brother, you do know that it is illegal to accept money for votes, right?
I said it's not cake like money, brother.
Oh, you mean cake like eggs and flour?
Yeah,
and frosting?
a real cake.
Oh, actual cake.
Yeah, it's like this little Butterfinger cake. It's
bomb,
okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a good cake.
Well, did you enjoy it, brother?
Well, I didn't get the cake yet. I was told would I sit my vote in, and then I would get the cake. I'll get the cake prepared for me. Okay. But anyway, so there's that with the cake. Okay, but I got in there, and there was some chicanery going on, my people.
What type?
They told me that I had already voted. Now, mind you, I've never voted a day in my life. They told me that I had already voted. And I started to say, who did I vote for?
Well, how did they determine that when you just said on air that you never voted before?
Well, what they said was that I had mailed in my vote already. Now, I don't know if this is real chicanery or if this was just some social tomfoolery that's going on. But they told me that I had to fill out what is now called a provisional ballot.
Okay.
And they stamped provision all over it. I don't know if it means throw this one away or because it's not a good one. I don't know what it means, but that's what they stamped all over it. They said I had already mailed in my vote, and so it is what it is. But I did vote. I was able to vote for a lot of different things. Now, one person that I did vote for, and didn't know he was even on the ballot this year for State City. You know who that was?
Who was that?
Sekou. You know Sekou?
I don't.
Okay, well, Sekou is one of the community activists that we have here in Denver.
Okay.
He has worked closely with Brother Jeff back in the day, but he was on the ballot. So because I know him personally, I decided, well, this is my first time voted, and this is the only person on here that I actually know,
right,
or know somebody who knew them, other than Kanye West.
Yeah, I was gonna say you gotta throw Kanye in there.
Yeah, Kanye was on there, and I was like, when I really wanted to shed a tear when I looked to the bottom of that presidential voting box, right, and I saw that name, Kanye West.
You notice he's down at the bottom, right at the very end.
She said this is the second case I've heard about. So yeah, I looked at that and I saw Kanye's name on there, and I was just thinking to myself, like, you know what, man? Brothers have come a long way. Brothers have come a long way. It almost made me want to shed a tear because Ice Cube is relevant right now.
Absolutely.
And he's always been relevant with us.
No doubt.
But Ice Cube is relevant right now in a presidential election. And that's something that who would ever thought we would have been mad at Ice Cube during a presidential election? That some people will be mad at him.
Yeah.
Or Lil Wayne for that matter. So Jacqueline Johnson said what he thinks is unfair is the electoral vote. That is BS. We can get into that a little bit. I know that you understand why we vote and use the college electoral vote, but we'll get into that in just a second. We're going to take just one more break, and we're going to get back in there. But hey, I want you guys to be thinking about what's going on right now. Is this election going? Because I know some of you all may be monitoring it. So is it going the way that you think it's going to go? Is it panning out the way you're thinking? Right now, currently, I'm watching it, and Biden is at 30 electoral votes, and Trump is at 42 electoral votes.
With 270 needed to win.
With 270 needed to win. So let's go ahead and jump back in here right after this. So who right now with me tonight? If Trump wins, we got to go tear it down now. Is that what y'all want to do tonight? That big payback? Who's rolling with me? I'm joking, Facebook. We're not doing anything of this. We're not doing anything of the nature.
But don't do no damn squealing.
Hey, like James Brown said, if somebody does do it, don't be squealing.
Let me just remind people that we currently have 2 minutes left to vote. Now, if you are in line, then you are still eligible to cast your vote. If you haven't made the line by now, it's too late.
Okay, so check this out. Check this out. The reason, and my brother, he's going to get into it just a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
But let's just touch on that before we break all the way totally into the show. Why is it that we use the college electoral?
The reason we use the college electoral is rather simple. So we have large populated states like California,
New York,
Texas, New York, and Florida. Well, the reason the electoral exists because if all those states decided that they wanted to go for one candidate or the other, then it would be fair for the rest of Americans, and it's basically like that their vote wouldn't count. So that's why we use the electoral vote as opposed to the popular vote.
Well, there you have it. And then it also has to do with not just that, but it's two parts. It's one part population, and the other part education. Mm-hmm. Because they feel like the common person isn't as informed when it comes to politics to be able to know who would do the best job at leading our country.
Right.
So, and that was also on the ballot as well as whether or not we should get away from that or if we should continue to use it. I don't know. We're going to come with it right now, right here, and always on Mike and Mike at Night.
Our news, our business.
Hey, if you hear at nighttime,
did you hear it the right time?
All we do here is love, support, and protect. So go ahead and get it there, my brother.
Okay, I just have a small public service announcement for you all. So now large urban areas across America, including Denver, are boarding up their businesses, and some have even enacted the National Guard out of an abundance of caution for the expected civil unrest that may occur tonight or the coming days, regardless of election results. Now, let's talk about civil unrest for a minute. When we talk about civil unrest, we're talking about rioting and rioters. Well, you do have the constitutional right to protest peacefully. However, you are unlawfully and unconstitutionally, legally able to protest violently. So, in a nutshell, what I'm saying is this.
Don't tear nothing up.
Look, it could go down tonight, so keep your children in the house tonight because there could be some overzealous Trump supporters, should he win the election, who might take this opportunity as an excuse or reason to pop and shoot our young black men and women. So that's really what I'm on tonight. And believe you me, they will deal with people out there doing that harshly tonight. And also, I read that there's more bricks being found in downtown Denver, crates of bricks all over downtown. So we don't know specifically.
So are they anticipating a Trump victory?
I think that they are antagonizers, and either way, they want civil unrest. Now,
okay, so how do you guys feel about that? Because this is what I really want to know is, I understand that this isn't the way that we handle things, okay? And it is a shame that we have to, Jock, it is a shame that we got to go out here and board up businesses because people don't know how to act.
Right.
Listen, we have a system and we have understood this system ever since we were children. We're not always going to be happy about what the outcome is when it comes to an election. There's been several elections in which I was somewhat hurt by who actually got into office.
But if you didn't vote, then how could you really feel about it?
Okay, well, let me say that. Let me just say this real quick. Because y'all that be talking about if you don't vote, then you don't have no right to complain. This is my thing, okay? This is where I'm coming from. If I have two women, one's an alcoholic and one's a drug addict, but I want to get married, and they say, well, these are only two women that are going to marry you. You got to marry one of them. I don't want to marry no drunk and I don't want to marry no alcoholic. So therefore, what if I say I don't? Well, you can't complain about being single if you didn't want to. You had two women wanted to marry you. Okay, well listen. Well, then I go ahead and marry one of them, and then I complain about her drinking, and then you know what you're gonna say? Well, you married her.
Well, then you should just
rebut that.
Then you should just accept being single then, if that's the case. So whatever does happen, I'm not saying that you're not entitled to feel a certain type of way, but you certainly didn't have any influence over the outcome. So that's the only thing I'm saying about that.
Okay, well, maybe I want to wait another 4 years for another woman to come along that I feel is worth my while. And I don't want to waste what I've worked so hard for on two people that ain't worth it.
I understand.
Okay then, so now I do have a right to complain. And I'm complaining not about my vote, but the choices.
Okay, yep, I understand that completely and totally.
Okay, all right. Yes, I feel the media is trying to incite riots. It's ridiculous. Do you think it's the media? Huh?
It could be a number of people, political agitators. It could be white supremacists. It could be all type of things. The fact of the matter is that we really don't know who it is. So the best thing that we can do, and mind you, with the political climate, reminds you more of 1968 than say 2008. These are some real tough times that eventually we're gonna get through it. And just like we always do, we shall overcome.
Well, do you think black people are even gonna be worried about this? Because sometimes it seems like we get all hyped up over stuff, but then it dies out real quick. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not as, because I could just see us, like after the storm is over, I can see us getting back to just a basic level of normalcy, where we're mad that Trump has taken over, or we're mad that Biden, whichever way you went on it, you're upset, but now you don't care anymore on politics. Oh, screw politics, I'm not worried about it. I'll deal with that in 4 years.
I don't think that that's the case. I think that this time around now, maybe several elections ago, that might have been the case.
Okay.
But in this particular election, there's going to be some butts hurt on both sides of the aisle.
So I'm going to ask this question first. You guys, and I asked this yesterday, but I'm going to ask it again because I was doing some discussions with some people behind the scenes, some very important people actually behind the scenes today, and was asked this question, and I'm going to ask this question. If your candidate doesn't win, what will you do about it afterwards? What are we going to do about it?
Mobilize. Definitely we're not going to riot. Right?
You said mobilize. Now you sound like him. Stand by and stand back and stand by. Is that what you said?
Strap up and stand by for the 2024 election.
Okay, so do you think there's going to be civil war?
I think that
potential?
I think that there's a potential for anything to go down, and it could go down tonight. And as I keep looking at this map, the East Coast is reporting more and more of their votes with Trump still holding the edge, 42 over Biden's 30. So right now it's trending toward Donald Trump winning the election, which I know for a fact, and I don't judge anybody, is not going to be favoring a whole lot of black people. We're going to be really upset about that. And I don't think that tomorrow the conversation ends. I think that this is something that continues on for a long time after the election, as opposed to elections past.
So we got a funny comment here.
Okay.
Lori said that suppose one went to rehab, that would be Biden. When I was talking about the alcoholic and the drug addict,
okay.
She said suppose if one went to rehab, that would be Joe Biden. So Trump would be the active drug addict or alcoholic. I guess that's what she's suggesting here. Get the word out on Mike and Mike. Pursue financial independence. Matter of fact, that's the number one goal. You got to make sure that you keep your money. They say money don't matter, but if you don't have money, then you don't matter. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And this is the thing. You got to make sure that your paperwork is right. So you work for your paper, so you get your paperwork right. If we don't have money, there's very little that we can do. There's very little bit of voice that we can have. We have to have money to matter.
And we've shown that we do make and spend money.
1.2 trillion, right?
Yes, sir.
There we go. Black folks are secretly voting Trump away. That is true. But I think a lot of black people have already voted Trump away.
Okay, do you feel like that there's a lot of black people who may be Trump supporters who are just a little more on the down low about it, maybe in the closet about it, whereas the Biden supporters are more vocal?
And I think that's the case, but I know that's the case, but it shouldn't be that way. And that's kind of what we were talking about on the show last night when we said that it should be, we should have a understanding between all of us as black people that this is about us. It's our news. It's our business.
Right.
It's about the candidates that will love, support, and protect us as a black people and as a whole. But first, to do that, what we have to do is love, support, and protect each other.
Sure.
When we are sitting here fighting with each other because one person wants to vote for Trump and one person wants to vote for Biden, that means we still have not arrived where, and we're still not where we need to be.
No, we're not.
I need to love you, brother, whether you a Crip or a Blood, whether you a Democrat or a Republican, whether you a Bronco fan or a Raider fan, it don't matter. I need to love you regardless, and the number one reason I'm loving you is because you're my brother.
Sure.
This is what I'm saying on the Mike and Night show tonight. If you hear at nighttime, you hear at the right time. That, you know what? We need to be loving black people because there are black people, and we've had to deal with enough as black people to have to deal with our own. What did my man Chuck say? No, Kumo D. He said, I never ever ran from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man. Because that's what? Self-destruction. We're headed for self-destruction. That's some old school. I'm kind of giving my age away. But, hey, we shouldn't have to be worried about our brothers and sisters. We should be loving, supporting, and protecting each other no matter what our political views are.
Right. And like I was saying earlier, seeing as how the political climate more resembles 1968 than, say, 2008 or 2018 and certainly 2020, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that a Trump victory would deepen the racial divide in America?
Well, we have, let me just say this. We have a racial divide in and of ourselves. And that's what I was just speaking to.
Sure.
There's a racial divide within us with our black folks. We have a racial divide with each other.
Yes, we do.
We got to get rid of that first.
True.
And listen, black folks, let me tell you something. Nobody has to listen to you. Just like Mike and Night, you don't have to listen to me. So if you got all these reasons on why I need to vote Democrat, those are great. But those are your reasons. And that's why you want to vote Democrat. That doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. You shouldn't hate somebody, ostracize somebody, or kick them to the curb because they have a different viewpoint from yours. what I have found is most people that I disagree with, there's something about them or some type of information that they're giving me in which I can learn from them.
Absolutely.
And black people have been through so much that we can teach each other.
Yep, absolutely we could. Absolutely we could. As we talk about the racial divide in America, I do agree that first we got to get ourselves right. But I do think, however, that a Trump victory will deepen the racial divide. And what I mean by that is, so now all the white supremacists have come out of the closet, whereas before they were on standby and
Standing back, right?
standing back and on mute. But now they feel that it's okay to come out of the closet. So I do think that a Trump victory will most definitely not only deepen the divide between us, and we're going to try to avoid that as black people, but just as Americans in general.
So you think that when you say the racial divide, you're talking about the communication, the socialization, and the interaction that exists between us and white people.
Right, because now we're judging everything not on our content of character, but who we're voting for. And that doesn't make any sense to me. To me, it should be wide open, and like you said, whether you're Crip blood, black, white, gay, straight, we shouldn't discriminate against nobody, especially when we're trying to love, support, and protect each other.
Exactly. It says they've been out since Trump got in office. Listen, you guys, let me just give you a quick update. There have been racist people in every election.
Far before Donald Trump.
Far before Donald Trump. There have been the Proud Boys and whatever you want to call them, the skinheads, the KKK that used to march through the streets. They've been there. It's not like because we have whoever we have in the White House is now going to destroy white supremacy. White supremacy is going to be with us no matter who's inside of the White House. Do you not agree?
I do agree with that, and like Mike was saying, like Dwayne was saying the other day, well, at least they've come out of the closet and I don't have to guess who they are anymore. They're showing themselves. So I appreciate that, racist America.
Well, that would be as ridiculous as saying now more black hate groups are going to come out because Obama's in office. Did that happen?
No, that did not happen.
Okay.
Okay. That did not happen. But
ignorant people are going to continue to be ignorant no matter who's in the White House.
But more than ever, in modern elections, the racists have come out full-fledged, whereas before they were on the down low. So, again, I do appreciate them being who they are and just telling me straight to my face as opposed to keeping it covered up and waiting for their great hope for them to be able to come out and say who they really are.
Well, there's never going to be legislation, I don't believe, that will support racism in America, and I don't know if we'll ever go back to a time in which that is the case.
But when your leader makes statements like there are good people on both sides of white supremacy and non-white supremacy, then that makes you wonder.
That's a good point that Serena brings up here. She says every 2 years, it's a good idea. Every 2 years we need to be voting for, what she would be saying. Congressman, yeah, the Senate or whatever.
Is that every 2 years or 4?
Well, she's saying that we should be doing it every 2 years because they make the laws. Dwayne says, I like my enemy to look me in the eyes. Yet a lot of people haven't been down south where it is in your face. A lot of people haven't been down south where it's in your face. But you know what? There's cold folks. There's racist people wherever you go.
Down south, up north, east coast, west
exactly.
coast.
They don't just stay in one area. Now, one area may be more conducive to that type of behavior, but understand that is all over the map.
And let me just throw this out there. I've lived in the South for like 7.5 years. And let me tell you what I found. I found racist people just like I do here in Colorado, but I also found some of the most genuinely nice white people ever. They were the most accommodating, genuine, sweetest people that she ever wanted to meet, and it felt right. And when it feels right, it usually is right. So I'm going to just throw that out there, that Southern hospitality does in fact exist, and all white people in the South are not racist.
And I think we know that. A lot of people have learned. A lot of people have been rehabilitated. A lot of people have been educated on who we are as black people, and therefore they have learned. And and it's funny even because in this day and age, you have a lot of interracial couples, marriages, and things of that nature.
Right.
So you might have had first generation or second generation races that now has black grandchildren that they have to learn somehow to love, even though they may be racist.
Yeah.
So, you know, that may be the case. And I don't want to turn this into a race show because it is more about politics. However, in this election, race is having a lot to do with the politics and policies that we're trying to see and the change that we're trying to see in America now. I think the social climate right now for getting these statues torn down of these racist people, for trying to change these some of the bases, because like I said, I served in the military. Some of these bases are named after, like Sam Houston and places like that, are named after Fort Bragg, named after racist individuals that actually lost the Confederate War.
Were you ever stationed in Germany?
Yes.
Did you notice anything Adolf Hitler related out there when you were there?
Not necessarily. However, I did stay.
Not on public display anyway, right?
Well, it depends. And you had asked that question before, I believe, but it just depends on where you're at. Because I stayed in Berchtesgaden, which is actually in Austria, which is where he's actually from.
Technically, everybody don't know that.
Right, which is where he's actually from. And I stayed in at Eagle's Nest, where one of his major bunkers was. Okay. And there's a lot of historical stuff around in there that you would see, but not necessarily as far as if you're saying the swastikas and things like that.
Like you can't go to a public park and see heroes of the Holocaust. You
can't
see
no.
Things like Adolf Hitler. So I think in that regard, the United States is moving in the right direction as far as tearing down all these racist reminders that happen to haunt black people to this day.
Well, you know what? I know you guys are watching this right now, and we haven't got an update as of yet. Would like to give you an update, but I know you guys are watching this. After today, though, tomorrow's show is not going to be about politics. We have a Wildin' Out Wednesday coming up, so we're going to, like we always do, we're going to let our guests pick the topic. But I know that we are about. I know we're fed up. We're tired of hearing about this election. We want to get it behind us. Yeah. On that love, support, and protect tip, I hope that my black people are satisfied with the outcome of tonight's election. Sometimes we don't get what we want, we get what we need, and that can go in either direction. You know, I'm not saying that you need Biden. I'm not saying that you need Trump. I'm just saying that sometimes you don't get what you want, you get what you need, and I don't know if that's even if that's possible in this election, because these are two people that I don't know that as a black person I could get all the way behind 100%. I don't really see Donald Trump as a Republican, and the reason being is because at one time he was actually a Democrat, number one, and number two, most of the Republican Party and a lot of people in the Republican Party have separated themselves from some of the comments and the things that he says, and they don't like to defend him a whole lot. So I don't necessarily look at him as that. I just look at him as a public figure who has worked his way to the top and has manipulated things that have been beneficial and non-beneficial to some people within the black community. Did you have something else?
Okay. So I do have a question. So, I mean, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. Now, we all know that most black people have historically voted Democrat at least over 80 to 88% over the past 40 or 50 years. Now, it's questionable whether we've benefited from that or not. So, do you think that blacks could benefit from a political shift in the 2024 election?
We could, but what I think we should focus on more so is pressing these elected officials, yes, to earn that vote the next time around. Right. Because this election may teach us a very valuable lesson in pressing them in making them earn our vote.
Absolutely.
See? Because I don't think that they have necessarily earned the right to our votes as of yet, because, you know, like Stevie Wonder's old song says, if you really want to hear our views, you haven't done nothing. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, the Republican Party is the party who freed the slaves, a.k.a. Abraham Lincoln.
What's that?
I said the Republican Party is the party that freed the slaves.
Well, there you go. But that's a horse of another color. We know how that changed with Barry Goldwater and what went down there. We're going to take one more break, let you get your questions in, and we'll be right back. or comment. You know what I find very interesting?
What's that?
That one thing that always keeps the presidents on our mind is because they own all our money. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mind you, they're dead.
they dead presidents, but you know, just the fact that they stay on our money, they stay on our mind.
No
You know
doubt.
what I'm saying? You got rap songs that bring them up. You got, you know, movies and all of that talking
True
about
that.
those dead presidents.
True that.
You know what I'm saying?
Mind you, Barack Obama did try to enact a law that would have Harriet Tubman replace Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill, which Trump prudently came in and said, nah, we're not going to do that at least until, what did he say, 2028. So in other words, not on his watch will he see a black woman on the $20 bill.
Well, I haven't. I mean, I can only imagine seeing a black woman on a $20 bill. Now, I have seen a lot of black women with my $20 bills, but
All your Jacksons?
and I've had a lot of black women on my $20 bills. I don't know. They stay on my $20 bill. Got a whole lot of black women on my $20 bills.
I
But
can hear
anyway,
you.
but check this out, man, on that love, support, and protect tip. I know you guys been watching this. Hey, we gonna have a quick little snippet tomorrow when it comes to the election. I hope you guys are mad at the election results. I really don't think that we're gonna be able to get any results, you know,
Right.
any tangible results tonight, and it could probably run all the way up until, they say they have until what, December 14th?
Yeah. Now, while we are expecting to hear the results of the election tonight, I must go back to the election of, I want to say, 1996 or somewhere around there, where the election was called. However, there were some contested votes in the state of Florida, and so they had to go through this big process and go through the Supreme Court before
you're talking about when they
George
had
Bush and Al Gore.
Right, when they had the swinging chairs and the
Right.
dimple chairs.
So even though we thought we heard who the winner was that particular night, but we didn't actually find out until weeks or maybe even months after the official election was
Well, like
over.
I
So-
said, they constitutionally they have until December 14th
Okay.
to name a president.
Okay.
Now, there could be some issues with that because the president can also invoke the power of the Supreme Court
Sure.
in determining a winner, because if these votes, if some of these votes in the way that they were gathered and counted are contested, what do they call that when they are, then you have a recount,
Right.
and that's exactly what happened in that election, because at that time the governor of Florida was
Jeb Bush.
right, and just so happens
Just so
there-
happens. Who is his brother?
it just so happens there were some issues with the votes down there, so it can be held up in lack of a better term, in some type of probate or some type of
And also, if the president doesn't concede, then that could also hold up the election.
yeah,
And you
concession
definitely
can
would have
hold
to
up,
get the
hold up the
Supreme Court
election.
involved. So.
And you do have to get the Supreme Court involved. So we hope that's not the case. We know we're dealing with an individual who is very stubborn, and I mean, I'm sure both sides of the aisle will say that and concede to that fact. That that I would say that when it comes to stubbornness and impermeable logic, I think that's more on Donald Trump's end than it is on Joseph Biden. He seems to be a little bit more congenial when it comes to dealing with things socially. Outside of that 94 crime bill, but that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, we don't really want to talk about that.
Hey, I do appreciate you guys for coming in, stopping with us tonight on Mike and Mike at Night. our news,
Our
our
business.
business. We hear about that love, support, and protect. I want y'all to be safe. Stay y'all behinds at home tonight.
Keep
Don't be
your
going
kids at
out and
home.
keep it hide the kids.
There's no need to go outside tonight. If you've already voted, take your butt back home and make sure you get your kids indoors.
Okay, hey, and we're gonna do the right thing, okay?
And also, look, I know everybody does. I know nobody wants to go ended up in a box tonight. Everybody wants to go home. You want to go to jail? You want to go home? I know everybody wants to go home tonight. So please, also, I want to remind black people to protect yourselves and protect your families.
Here we go. Love, support, and protect. You guys stay up.
Take me to heart,
Good song.
and I'll always love you. And nobody can make me do wrong. Take me for granted, leaving love unshown. Makes willpower weak, and then
Thing ain't
take
refreshing in a minute, so or you think it's looking like now?
I want to put that show on right now. That your sufficient fire stick, the overly efficient fire stick.
She